Hey there, everyone. I'm Samuel Johnson.
I'm Haley Dudley.
I'm Timothy D. Hobley.
And welcome to the first episode of the Phantom Perspectives. And today we're going to be talking about the first episode of Danny Phantom. What was it called again? Mystery Meat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mystery Meat. And before we actually talk about the episode, I realized that I didn't talk about the origin of Danny Phantom in my prologue video in full detail. And the reason we're going to be talking about it now is because they don't have a full-on origin episode. It's explained in the theme song, so to speak.
He's a phantom.
Yep, that very catchy theme song. It was a very catchy theme.
That about sums it all up there, guys.
Yeah.
We're done.
Well, I gotta talk about it.
I know.
Anyway, like I said in the prologue, Danny Phantom was a 14-year-old kid who got ghost powers. The reason he got ghost powers is because his parents are professional ghost hunters. They build they're scientists, and they pretty much build technology that centers around finding and capturing ghosts. They built a thermos that's meant to capture ghosts, and they have a thing that's supposed to track ghosts, nets, vacuums, anything, and including a portal. But the thing is, though, despite all their vast expertise, they do not know how any of their things work.
Which kind of doesn't make sense. You know, you created something, you should know how to work it.
Well, they know how it's supposed to work, but they just don't have the extra oomph, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, if the first invention's anything to go by, they usually miss some steps, because when they, with one of their inventions was called a Fenton portal, which is supposed to open a portal to what they call the ghost zone, a dimension pretty much populated by ghosts. But when they plugged it in and got it ready, it didn't spark. It didn't seem to work.
Yeah.
Well, after they left, Danny donned a hazmat suit, went inside, and turns out the big flaw was that it wasn't turned on. He turned it on, but he turned it on while he was still inside the gateway.
That's a bit of a design flaw. Don't you think, with a power button on the inside of it?
Well, Jack Fenton's an idiot.
True.
Yeah, that's...
And his wife's incorrigible.
Yeah.
But anyway, when it turned on, and Danny survived, but it turned out the energy from the portal mixed with his own genetic structure and gave him ghost powers. He can fly, walk through walls, become invisible, and on top of that, the hazmat suit he was wearing pretty much became his ghost state, so to speak. He switched between his human form and his ghost state, and they look very similar. They're exactly the same, except his hair is a different color and his eyes are green.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the hazmat even changed colors. Yeah. So, pretty much, when this episode picks up, some time has passed between that and now. And then they're talking with his dad. But But at this point, it's obvious he does not know how to control his powers, because they're shifting, they're shorting. When he wants to shift into his ghost state, he'll sometimes shift back into his human state at the worst times. He can't control when he phases through objects. He's pretty much he's losing control of his powers, and unfortunately, he doesn't know what to do with them, which makes sense. Teenagers with body changes will kind of
hormones.
Yeah. So
we all were 14 at one time.
Yeah.
Or going to be.
Well, at the same time, yeah. So at the same time that this is going on, though, it turns out that sorry, got to sidetrack a little. Part of the thing with the show, with the first episode, is that it also sets up the supporting cast of the show, and I already talked about his idiot dad, who somehow is smart but dumb. His mom, who is the smarter of the two, but
willfully ignorant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's willfully ignorant. Like, she knows what should be done, but she lets her husband get away with it.
Honestly, if she looked at all of the evidence in front of her, she could figure out anything, but she chooses to only see what she wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like she kind of thinks of her husband as another son or another kid.
Well, yeah, he kind of has that mentality. Like, he's incorrigible. He obviously cares about his kids, because there was that wrapping up, because that was one of the subplots. Yeah. One of the subplots was he thought his daughter
was possessed by a ghost.
Was a ghost. What's her name again?
Janice.
Janice. Yeah, Janice. He thought his daughter Janice was a ghost, and so they kept trying all this stuff on her until eventually she called him out on his BS, and he almost swore off ghosts for it.
He did swear off ghost hunting.
But then he saw a real ghost, and then he pretty much did a 180 and said, "Screw you, I was right!"
But you also realize that he did not notice the big explosion happen behind him.
Yeah,
none of them actually noticed it.
No, they did not. They just thought, like, there's an explosion and all their backs are turned, and no one saw it.
We should probably start by saying that, there was the lunch lady.
Oh, yeah, we gotta go back to that. That's why I want to talk
about the meat.
You gotta start at the beginning, guys.
Yeah, sorry,
Don't get ahead of yourselves.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. There's also, but talking back to Janice, she's also kind of the down-to-earth member of the group, though she's kind of more free spirit or more mature, trying to be more mature.
She's like, she kind of makes me think she's going to be normal, whether it kills everyone in the world. She's going to be normal.
Yeah.
She desperately wants to be your psychiatrist, whether you want her to
She's
or
the
not.
therapist in the Mad Max world.
Exactly, pretty much. She's like she's the only sane person in a world of crazy people, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then, which now brings me to the other two supporting cast members, Tucker Foley and Samantha Mason, or Sam. And I do not want to hear anything out of either of you. Out of either of you. Anyway.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Shut your mouth. Anyway, Tucker is pretty much this geeky kid. He thinks he's all suave and manly when really he's the biggest dork in the room. And Samantha is just is a self-proclaimed goth vegetarian. And that's why I want to talk about all the supporting characters.
She's not a vegetarian. She's a recyclo vegetarian.
Whatever.
And Tucker is a meat-loving boy.
Yeah, he can even smell meat. He can smell meat if it's in like a 20-mile radius.
He'll be good at some bars.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I had to go there.
Anywho.
Yeah. At the same time that Danny's struggling with all his powers, it turns out Sam changed the menu of their school. So in place of roast beef or meatloaf that they were supposed to have, she's pretty much replaced it with, I think I can easily just call it wheatgrass.
I mean,
Or
it's
mud.
called. They called it a
farm
turf witch. There was a piece of bread and then there was sod on top.
I thought it was grass.
Sod.
Pause a second. Okay, we're back on. Where were we again? Talking about wheatgrass. It's toast.
It's basically garbage.
Pretty much. Everyone calls it garbage, but Sam keeps defending it. Well, it turns out that here's something they established in the very first scene of the episode. That again, I mentioned how Jack Fenton has no idea how any of his crap works, and it even said the Fenton Ghost Portal. Let's ghost into our realm whether I want it to or not. And while he and his wife are working on an ecto vacuum or whatever to try and see if they can catch their daughter.
Thermos, I think.
The thermos was the thermos. This is the vacuum. The portal opens, and out comes a lunch lady ghost who just knows that something's up at the menu. And I'm guessing that she's a ghost of a former lunch lady, so she knows.
Well, for an old lady, she knows when she wants her meat.
That was it.
You know, she hasn't had it in a while.
We haven't got that far yet. That joke doesn't make sense yet.
Well, she's a lunch lady. You obviously gonna know she got some meat.
Okay.
Anyway, so pretty much she goes to the school and she notices that there's no meat being served, nothing at all. Because again, today it was supposed to be like meatloaf, but all it is salads and whatever garbage the kids are eating. So she's just wandering around, and this is also something I like too. That Danny's powers react whenever a ghost is nearby. Whenever a ghost is nearby, he just sees this little. His breath suddenly turns white, and so
Minty fresh.
Yeah, that actually is a lot closer to what it really is too. Anyway, because I did see that episode. Anyway, so pretty much he realizes there's a ghost nearby, and he sees the lunch lady in the kitchen, and when the school bully Dash tries to get him to eat this dirt because he blames Sam and therefore Danny because they're friends.
Dash says she's his girlfriend.
Yeah, that's a running gag throughout the show. People keep saying that, and they deny it. And they deny it fervently.
Yeah.
But bottom line, he causes the food fight, and while everything's going down, they sneak into the kitchen and find the lunch lady ghost, or we'll just call it a lunch lady because that's her official name anyway.
The lunch lady.
She has the meats.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Arby's now.
Anywho.
Where'd my burrito go?
Guys,
Sorry.
let's focus on this.
Sorry.
We got this, guys.
Anyway, so as I was saying, she sees the kids and she says, "Oh, so sweetly, we're supposed to be having meatloaf, but I don't see any meat. Did someone change the menu?" And so Tucker throws Sam under the bus
Were
immediately.
you on the bus?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, he threw you under the bus. I'm sorry. I think that was the joke he was thinking of.
Yeah.
Well, he threw Samantha under the bus, and the lunch lady, who has just been kind of sweet and who just kind of had a sweet demeanor. And while she's looked angry, she was mostly polite and really nice. She goes ape shit.
Flaming eyes.
Flaming eyes, deep guttural voice. She wants Sam dead for changing the menu. Like, she possesses all these things in the kitchen, tries to attack them. So Danny shifts into his ghost state to fight her, and you can see his.
Well, I can see where her anger's a little bit, where she's mad about the menu thing, but I think I know the real reason why she's mad.
You said anything about the meat?
Not about the meat. Not about the meat. She's been dead for a while. She hasn't had someone who's done the relations with her, so that's why she's a little pent up.
Did you just turn a child's cartoon into
He's not gonna stop doing this, is he?
I'm sorry.
Okay. So anyway. Well, she does have. Well, according to Ultimate Enemy, in an alternate future, she and the Box Ghost got married and had a kid. Yeah.
Jizz.
Okay, we gotta stop that. Anyway.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, anyway, so Danny tries fighting the lunch lady off, but his inexperience is showing on his sleeve because he gets his ass handed to him, and on top, he manages to.
He can hold his own so that nobody gets injured.
Yeah, but so they manage to escape to the
not
hall.
Really that well.
Yeah, because they go out to get to the hallway. The lunch lady gets to them rather quickly, and we see another her power. She pretty much sucks all the meat from the building. Don't you dare! She sucks all the meat from the building. It turns out that while the building was supposed to have no meat, the teachers hoarded it all for themselves.
Yeah, they had a steak buffet.
Yeah, pretty much. And she just takes it all and turns itself into a giant. They can pretty much turn into a giant meat. She turns herself into a giant meat monster and kidnaps Sam.
Basically, Super Meat Boy.
Yeah, but pretty much. And unfortunately, Danny can't go after her because at that point his powers short out.
Yeah.
And by the time Sam's gone, the principal, I forgot his name, Lancer. Yeah, Principal Lancer, a guy whose chin you pointed out.
Yeah. Chin could chisel marble and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much he comes in and is holding the boys accountable for what happened in the lunchroom. So he locks them in detention, but Danny uses his ghost powers to escape, and they know where the lunch lady is because in Lancer's office there are security cameras, and in the freezer or cold storage or whatever, they can see a meat trail nearby, so they think, well, walking meat, that might be where she is. Yeah.
Meat juice is actually really good. I've used it for... I have stored it before and used it for other things.
Okay.
So. Sorry, I'm hungry right now.
Yeah, we were all hungry.
We just ate, guys.
I can eat a lot.
I still haven't finished my burrito. And now I anyway, so...
We're guys, we eat a lot.
Anyway, yeah. This is why we have 3 personalities. We're 12 minutes in. We're not even done with the plot.
We're Deadpool!
Oh, goodness.
Okay, anyway, so wait, back trying to get some semblance.
Wait. Danny Phantom? DP?
Yeah. No, don't you dare. We have to get back to this.
Alright.
Anyway, so they go to deep storage and they find the lunch lady trying to convince Sam to eat it. And I like one of the lunch lady's quirks that I love is that she could be she's threatening everyone around her, wanting to kill them, and then she'll just she'll just stop and want to give them sweets. Like, the first time she offers cake, and they do accept it, but then she says tough. If you're against me, you don't get cake.
Basically.
No.
And I just love that.
Those who change the menu do not get cake.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much that's how she is in every one of her appearances. She's just threatening to kill you. Then she'll just turn sweet for a second and offer you some food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Like
It's
a typical lunch lady.
Yeah, it's funny. It's really fun. It's actually really nice and it is funny. And so the group manages to find her. Sam is just buried in all the meat. Danny tries fighting the lunch lady and Tucker tries saving Sam by eating all the meat. Just one piece at a time with a little fork and knife.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, but again, Danny is not doing so well against the lunch lady, and he just manages to escape. But with all the strain that's been going on, he passes out, and Sam and Tucker have to bring him back home, where he's been asleep for a couple hours.
Yeah. Even though they made a joke with him, Tucker made a joke saying he was asleep for 4 days.
Yeah. Tucker's kind of a dick. Or a troll. A troll. He's a troll.
Long story short, sorry, I'm taking over. Sorry.
Yeah.
Long story short, Trevor and Sam get into
Tucker and Sam,
sorry, get into a huge fight. Sam, all meat is evil. You don't need it. Don't eat. Why are we eating meat? We are going to keep the menu on the recyclo vegetarian nonsense. Tucker, meat is the only way to live. I've only had meat for 14 years. That's all I'm going to eat.
It seems like Tucker's on that new all-meat carnivore diet that I heard about.
Yeah.
No, that's how you die. That's
Yeah,
that's
that's how he should be dead. He should be dead. He'd probably be a strong corpse, but
he should be also like 500 pounds.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the two managed to form two different protests. One person Tucker over here going like meat for everyone, and they're all like barbecues. There's dancing hot dog ladies, and then there's Sam, who's sitting there, veggies forever, with all of the typical hippies. Yep.
I kind of was a little worried here. Sorry, interrupting again. I was a little worried that this would kind of sidetrack the episode because this kind of just comes out of nowhere. Like it doesn't add anything to the plot. It seemed just like I thought we were talking about the lunch lady. What's all this? But because I was a little because it even looked like that Sam and Tucker were trying to force Danny to choose sides. But thankfully, the episode remembered, oh yeah, the villain wasn't beaten when we last saw her.
Yeah.
Because she disrupts everything and turns into a giant meat monster.
She takes all of the meat from Tucker's barbecue extravaganza.
Yeah.
And basically becomes a kaiju.
Yeah. Kaiju-sized meat monster.
Yeah.
But
with little meat minions.
Actually, if you compare the size to actual kaiju, she was actually rather small.
Yeah.
She's only just taller than the school.
I guess you could just say she's a regular giant monster then.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, so she observes all this, and, her and Danny are fighting, and Danny's like, oh gosh, I don't know what to do. And she creates these little meat monster minions that he manages to somehow slice in half with his foot. But then they double, because they don't actually die. They just become 4 meat monsters rather than 2. While all of this is going on in the back of the school, in the front of the school, Janice, and
I think it was actually Janet.
Janice.
We're
not sure.
It starts with a J.
I can look it. I'm looking it up while you're talking. I'm gonna look this up.
But she's sitting back there talking to a very goth-looking young man, and obviously trying to be, emotional support therapist type person as her parents sneak up and are trying to use the thermos to suck the ghost out of her into it, and so that, she's no longer possessed everything. And this is where she lays into her dad, and then he goes and swears off ghost hunting and everything, and then at that point, Danny, who has just been hit by the giant meat monster, gets thrown through the air and
through an airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
through the
grabs
airplane.
a glass of water on the way back.
Yep.
Just stones the guy.
Drink. I mean, that's thirsty work, man. It's a workout. Goes down and falls in front of him, and flies away and everything. And he's like, "I saw a ghost."
Jazz. Her name is Jazz.
Jazz
Fenton. That is her name.
That's short for something.
A little quick return. The water. How did it go through the plane?
They actually
before.
Yeah, they actually did establish that he can actually extend his powers to other physical beings.
As long as he's touching him.
Yeah, because he did use that to get Sam and Tucker out of to phase through the walls.
Liquid?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's touching the glass.
It's in the glass, so he can. So
it's water. How does that work?
It's water. But
it follows its own rules.
So. Then, during this time, Danny, he, is over there, he gets the thermos, and he's like, okay, hey, the thermos, and he's like, please let this work.
Because that was actually established in the first scene, because when he was showcasing off all of his stuff, and to Ghost Technology, one of the things he mentioned was a Fenton thermos. The Fenton thermos, which was supposed to capture ghosts, but he hasn't been getting it to work. Well, thankfully, Danny has that extra push.
That earlier.
Danny has that extra push for getting it to work.
Yep, he kind of concentrates his ghost powers and causes a giant beam of light to shoot out and hit the meat monster, which then sucks the lunch lady.
Actually, no. The Fenton, he did what... Was he able to? I think he used the Fenton thermos
on just the ghost.
Yeah, he used the ghost. He destroyed the meat.
The giant meat.
No, he destroyed the giant meat monster first. Then because he fell down.
He sucks the lunch lady in.
He
sucks the lunch lady in.
He flew through.
Lunch lady goes into the thermos.
Yeah,
Day is saved.
One thing I do have to say about her being sucked in. At one point when she's being sucked in, she turns from a lady to looking like a really weird looking guy.
I
did not notice that.
Stretched out, pulled into a vortex. You're not going to be looking that hot either.
Quite sexy.
Anyway, so they managed to defeat the lunch lady, and
sorry, interrupting. Sorry, I'm taking this back. Pretty much, this is also something that I kind of like too. Danny, because after fighting this giant monster, he starts thinking maybe I could use these powers to help people, save lives, and so forth. Which I kind of like the whole formation of the identity, like, especially since he's 14. He doesn't know what he wants to do with these powers when he gets them. So when he and the only reason he fought this Ghost Dog was because he's just a good kid. And so when he actually defeats this monster, captures this ghost, he thinks, you know what? Maybe I would like to use these powers more often like this, which I like. I like stuff like that.
I'm glad they went that route instead of like trying to have him more like a realistic 14-year-old. Because a realistic 14-year-old would not be using those to fight ghosts. They'll be using them for other purposes.
Yeah. They did actually have an episode that talked about that, but that's a few more weeks.
Yeah.
But I agree with I like the way that they have him set up as this, as far as like you can see a definite journey and turning into a hero. Even though it's the first episode, we got no introduction episode or anything. There is no origin story. He's just there.
That's pretty much.
But they still show his hero's journey.
Yeah. So okay, so now we got the summary out of the way. So since you old senior authority, what were your thoughts on the episode?
Oh, I hold authority. Yay.
She's been in more videos than you. Sorry.
I thought it was great. I am always a fan of Danny Phantom. Guilty pleasure. But the only thing that I was like, is that, like, it's so nitpicky, but, like, the food for the vegetarians, it's a piece of bread with grass.
It was not food. It was not food. It was clearly garbage. It was garbage.
That was rabbit food.
Yeah.
No, that passed rabbit food. That was you stole food from a rabbit and put it on bread.
No, that's actually you went outside to your lawn and cut it off and just put it on the plate.
Yeah, pretty much. That was it.
It's just no.
Okay, your turn. What do you think of the episode?
It brought back memories because I remember being a little kid, waiting every Saturday morning to watch these on. Watch Danny Phantom. Nowadays cartoons. This is kind of I think a polite way of saying it. It's horse shit. Nowadays cartoons, a lot of them are.
Not all of them, but I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but I thought it was really good. It was really good, really well put. It could have had a little bit more of a backstory on how he got his powers, because it's the first episode. You should always learn a little bit more than you really should. They kind of played it a little bit too much for him learning his powers. Like, he already, I wish they would,
I would argue against that.
I meant, I think they should made it where he, didn't learn it. Like, he has a little bit more tougher.
I'd argue against that. His friend group, he is automatically situated as he is the dork of the school.
Yeah, pretty much. For example, going back to that lunch scene with Dash, he, instead of going for Tucker, who's honestly the nerdiest out of them all and is obviously the biggest loser, Dash goes right for Danny. He doesn't even go for Sam. He goes right for Danny.
When he gets in trouble with the principal and they're sitting in the principal's office, Mr. Lancer pulls out his file and he's reading off all of the things that Tucker has done wrong. And he's skipped school, loitered outside the girls' locker room, stuff like that. Yep. And then there's Danny, who the only thing in his disciplinary file is he has broken 89 beakers and is no longer allowed to handle anything fragile in the school.
It wasn't 89.
Which makes sense, because I'm guessing
it was 42.
No.
Either way, it was a big number. Let's just compromise on that. Which would make sense if his ghost powers are coming in, and he was, because they showed that he was power. Because again, that was something I liked in the episode. But
it also kind of fits his personality though too. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, sorry. We were also talking about you too.
But yeah, so it's just I think maybe they should. For my part is when they show where he separated his lower half and upper half,
Yeah,
and it's had that ghost, basically snake body portion.
Yeah.
I think that should have been more he's finally learning how to segment certain parts of his body. I felt like that should have been a little bit farther ahead, maybe not too far ahead, maybe a next episode thing. That's just my thought.
I completely disagree with you in every single way.
Ouch!
Yeah!
I would kind of go for a medium between you two, because I think it would be okay if he did learn some powers right away, but I think it would be better if he didn't completely...
sorry.
Yeah. Because that's something I do like about this episode, and that was what I was talking about before I went back to you. That in this episode they show, because this is shortly after he got his powers, he's just obviously having trouble controlling them. I mentioned how he can go into his ghost form, but he can't, and at certain times, whether he wants it to or not, he'll shift back into his human form. At certain times, he'll become invisible. At one point, he was eating breakfast and his spoon fell through his hand because he couldn't control.
He started sinking into the floor when he was talking at school.
I think also what I'm really trying to say is I want to see him train. You know, to learn how to use his powers. I think that would have been cool.
Okay, I would get that, but I also offer this counter argument. Where would he train? Who would he train with?
He's trying to hide from his parents.
He has his 2 friends.
But what would they be able to do?
You know, they could probably throw something at him and tell him that, okay, I want you to dodge this, but without moving your feet or something like that.
See,
you know?
okay, here's my thing. I'm sorry, I'm going to commandeer the talking stick.
No.
So first off, he's not training because he's just got his powers. He doesn't even know he wants to be a hero until the end of the episode, and even then it's like, maybe I could do that. This is, like, he just got his powers. Second reason why I disagree with you in every single way possible.
Ouch, it hurts!
Is that we got gypped in an origin episode that, like, all we get is the introduction song. And from there, we go straight into story. And rather than making this, you know, like 3 weeks later, like in any other superhero or any other hero cartoon. I'm almost done.
Sorry.
Any other cartoon like that where 3 weeks later he's going to have perfect control and everything from there is going to be growing his power, it's showing he doesn't know what the hell he's doing because he just got his powers. He doesn't know if he wants to train to be a hero. He doesn't have anyone who knows what to do with them or how to control them because as far as he knows, he's the only one of his kind. And he knows. And his personality type, like the way that they project him, he is a very nervous, very like, I'm just gonna keep to myself and, you know, maybe make a few really bad jokes here and there, but otherwise I'm just, you know, don't pay attention to me. Low confidence. He's not going to rush in and be like, frick, yeah, I'm gonna go fucking bunch that little bag, you know, it's like, it's not gonna happen. It's not... Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
It's fine, we swear.
But, like, so it makes sense when you look at all of it that he isn't number one on control because he's a nervous wreck.
Well, I wasn't saying that he has full control. I want to see him have less control in this episode. That's not what you said. But that's what I was trying to mean.
You were saying that you wanted to see him, like, training, doing better. That's not what you said. You said you wanted him, like, you wanted him a better better hero.
I didn't mean it as that.
But he can't be because he doesn't know yet. He's just a little child.
At least he has...
Don't do this.
Okay, I'm going to cut you both off. I know where you're coming from, but I kind of agree with you.
Yes!
Stop that.
Wait, can you agree on this one? He at least has one up on Batman. Both his parents are alive.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. He actually has
they're absentee parents.
Okay, let me think. Wonder Woman's mom is alive. Batman's parents are both dead. Superman's birth parents are dead, and current comics, but his adopted parents are dead. Flash's mom is dead. Green Lantern's dad is dead. Pretty much most of the members of the Justice League have a dead parent, but that's DC. We're talking about Danny Phantom.
Not to get really dark, though.
Crossovers.
Danny might have been better off if his parents died or were not involved because...
Okay, sorry. This is why I interrupt you in the first place. I'm trying to get to what I liked. Okay. Like, first off, I liked the first episode, and I share a complaint with these two. Because there's no origin story, we are just thrown in. We just see him with his powers, and unfortunately, it kind of leaves you wanting. Like, we see it's close enough, it's far enough away that he's still having trouble mastering them, but at the same time, I think it would have been cool to actually see him get his powers. And the closer we get to that is the first episode of season 2. But again, for right now, that is not what we get. And at best, I think that, you know how every episode begins with like a bit of story and then the theme song to the rest of the story. You could have easily had like the first section be him getting his powers, and then like
the incident, you know,
like maybe he goes downstairs, he sees his parents talking, they show all the stuff. They try shutting off the portal, doesn't work. He turns it on, gets his ghost powers, doesn't know what to do as he wanders away. The lunch lady comes out, and that's when the story can kick in. Like going back to Ben 10 because I've been watching that for 2 years. The first episode not only featured Ben getting his powers, but had the villain coming crawling after him. Yeah. It featured a good story.
What was the villain's name again?
Vilgax.
Yeah.
So it was able to set everything up perfectly, but here he had his powers already. And the first ghosts he fought were these two ghostly octopuses or whatever.
The ghost tentacle.
But see, I feel like there's a trait. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I feel like there's a trait we don't get an origin, but we get to see the struggle.
Yeah,
which you don't usually see.
Yeah, like even then, he even says he doesn't want to know if he wants to be a ghost hunter. He wants to be an astronaut. So, but I think the only reason he jumps in is because his friends are in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with him being an astronaut and also having the ghost thing, since he can go phase through objects, does he still have to breathe?
I guess not. Actually.
I would say not in ghost form, since in ghost form he's technically a phantasm.
And since,
so
Danny Phantom.
He can go into space already by now.
Exactly.
He can be an astronaut, a ghost astronaut.
Well, I think he wants to do it officially because he still has a life.
Yeah, but also then I'm just thinking if his powers short out while he's in space.
Yeah, he probably would want to master them first before he goes into space. Then he would really be a ghost.
He could be a really good plumber too.
I don't think he wants that. Anyway, again, that's a complaint I have. But something I do like is that it does kind of do well of setting up the world because it just throws you in. It's not like Adventure Time or Bravest Warriors where they just throw you into the world and just
Sorry, you got the song stuck in my head.
where they just throw you into the world and then you have to learn about it as you go along. In this case, they do leave enough open so that you do get to know it. Like with Jazz, his parents, his teachers, his relationship with them, and of course him trying to master his powers. And again, there's something they established that he's just that nice. He's a good kid enough because when he sees this danger, he tries to step in. He wants to help, but he's unsure of himself. He wants to do the right thing. And we see more of the personality of it. We see him working off everything. We see kind of how the dynamic of the show will work. Like, Ghost comes out, like, pretty much the formula for the show is that a ghost comes out of the portal, Danny has to fight them, and so, I'm not done.
Let him finish.
And Danny has to fight them, deals with a problem at the same time, and just kind of rinse and repeat, but we also see kind of how it works. Like, we see... Like, and even the ghosts kind of have funny personalities. Like I mentioned how the lunch lady can be so sweet and kind, but then just goes nuts at the drop of a hat.
I think we should let her speak because it seems like
okay, fine. What do you have to say?
I figured it out. So, Danny, he's not just a hero. He is a socially awkward hero with anxiety. That's why I like him. He has issues.
Oh wait, actually that is a good thing. That actually, I just realized that actually is kind of a good thing for the show because again, first episode, he's a teenager. Teenagers do go through that stuff.
Yeah.
Even if they try to act like they got it all figured out, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Teenagers do not have it figured out, and so when he gets this crap load of responsibility thrown on him, he doesn't know if he wants it.
And his reactions are all spot on. Like
Exactly.
when he grabs his friends and to pull them through the wall so that they can get away from the evil ovens trying to eat them.
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, it worked!" He did not know. He wasn't confident. He's just like, "Oh my god, thank goodness we're alive."
Yeah, that's something I really like. It helps establish how unfamiliar he is with his powers, but also how unsure he is and just what kind of a character he is. Like he doesn't know what he's doing, but he'll try his best. He learns from each one, and again, I like that sort of thing. And again, how this show helps set everything up too is that they also set the mood too. Like they are trying to set up this big dynamic story, but it's silly and you know it's silly because it's Butch Hartman. It's Butch Hartman.
Yeah, and I think that's why they put as his name Danny Phantom DP. You can get the inappropriate joke. I'm not gonna say.
Don't do it.
Don't
let
say
it go. Let it go.
Don't you sing that. Bottom line, but yeah, that's kind of like Butch Hartman thing. Even when he tries to be serious, he slips some silly in there. Like it's absurd. His shows can be absurdist. Watch Fairly Odd Parents. It's almost every episode is an absurdist
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly But in this case, it's trying to mix realism with the absurdity.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing these.
Sorry, and that's what I'm saying.
Seeing all these characters kind of interacting, even seeing the villains, and even that's another thing with the show. Almost all the villains, save for one, are all no matter how dark they are, they always have some kind of silly or funny line or some quirk that makes them that stands out. Yeah, I love that. She's just threatening them as a giant meat monster. She's gonna kill them all. Do you want a cookie?
And she got pissed when they said no.
And you will face your doom.
Yeah, you don't refuse a cookie.
Yeah, especially from a grandma.
Yeah. Grandma's offering you.
Strangers on the street, maybe.
No.
Grandmothers,
no. That'll bring a whole nother level of hell.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's something I like. The episode just kind of helps establish the tone. It does have some minor It does have some minor flaws here and there, like the lack of an origin story just kind of thrown into the theme song, which is definitely...
It's annoying, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't count it necessarily as a flaw because
Yeah.
they add so much more to the actual story from there besides the origin.
One part I really do like, this is late in the series.
We're focusing on this episode. Do not spoil the rest.
Yeah, we can't really give
Dun, dun,
spoilers.
dun,
If you want to talk
dun.
about this, you gotta be vague, okay? If you want to talk about it, you gotta be at least vague.
The mother is, her intelligence does start to show.
Yeah, because...
Which I really do appreciate.
It's
I
not
like
that
how
she's unintelligent.
Yeah.
It's just that she chooses to ignore common sense in order to help support her husband's dreams.
That's it, because she does try to talk him out of it, but minorly.
Mm-hmm.
She just like said, I'm starting to think that Jazz isn't a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
But he just doesn't believe her. He's just but she loves him and goes along with it, even though she knows it's making her daughter pissed.
There's times where I think the father needs to have a helmet on.
Yeah, he could pretty much be wearing a helmet 24/7.
I mean, I think we've established that if he like any sort of, he's just.
Yeah.
If
He's like Zeus, like a family friendly version of Zeus
Yeah,
from
pretty much.
Greek mythology. If something went wrong, it's because he fucked up.
I think the mother would do great if she's separated from the husband, because the fact that I understand.
Why are you injecting divorce into this?
Because
Whoa.
I think I think from a business aspect, if she was separated from that, starting her own business, she would excel because she's the brain. She creates every single one of the inventions.
Well, obviously he does know what he's doing a little bit, but I would disagree with the divorce thing because they do love each other. They love each other very much.
I mean, like, company, like, if she went
Okay,
off to
let's
her own
first start
company.
off like they can't be hurting for money when they have you seen their lab?
Yeah, their lab is just like a giant lab on top of a
It's
building.
stolen
Stolen
Four
government
houses
equipment.
on
Stolen
top of
government
them.
equipment.
Yeah, how did they get all that stuff? That's a good question.
True.
That's a good
They're
question.
secretly just rolling in it. I mean, it's
Probably. Probably rich, or they just chose to spend it all on ghosts.
Or inherence.
Probably.
Well, either way, they have money.
That
And
might be explained with their friends bar, but that's later on anyway. So,
Yeah.
The bottom line, I like that we see the dynamic. We see how the characters work. We see how you see the characters' personalities fleshed out. Lancer's kind of a hard ass. Dash is the typical school bully. Sam is kind of a goth. Sam is kind of a goth, but still kind of but likes to be independent.
alternative. That's who
Yeah.
she is.
Yeah, Tucker is a dork, but Tucker's a dork, but he's supportive, though he does have his limits.
I think if, what was the creator's name again?
Butch Hartman.
Butch Hartman would have pulled something from, like, Legend of the Korra's creators, I think Dash would be secretly hiding in the closet. That's just my input. Because I've had a lot of bullies when I was younger, and later find out, oh, they were hiding. And that's why I think that if he was to make a turn.
I feel like that's bordering on like
social.
that's a social commentary, obviously, but that's like bordering on like that's a specific like section of the fandom.
Yeah, but again, that's kind of what Butch Hartman just wanted to create a superhero show, so I don't know if he really would go for that. Go that far.
Later in the series, it doesn't really spoil anything big, but there's points where Dash is actually really nice to Danny.
Exactly, because that's actually something that this is something that we established, and even with his daughter before he did the I was right, ghosts are real.
Mm-hmm.
When he realized how bad he hurt her, he does actually
Feel sorry.
He does feel sorry, like, oh my god, I've hurt my own daughter. I gotta stop this. But then when
he doesn't notice a massive explosion in the background
until he sees Danny fly right past him.
Family.
It wasn't until Danny saw him and that he did a 180. But the fact that he was willing to do that because he hurt his daughter so badly does show that there is something there. He does care about his family, and later episodes just continue confirming how much he cares about them.
See, I feel like the way that they have this set up, with a few exceptions for the certain ghosts who I will not I'm not going to get too much into that. Every person in this show who isn't already established as good has a chance at redemption. Yeah. There is so much there are so many fucking second chances throughout this entire thing that, like, literally a person who started like Dash, who you started with, like, oh my god, he's a bully, can turn into moderately supportive character.
Yeah.
Because there's...
They did this, they kind of did something similar in the show Spectacular Spider-Man. Flash Thompson, Flash Thompson was still a bully, kind of a jerk, but he was a big fan of Spider-Man. He was always the first to defend him whenever he was in danger. And at one point when Peter was being taken over by the symbiote, he was the one that gave him the reality check. When Peter was later freed, he said, "Thanks for doing that." And he said, "Don't mention it." But then he later whispered, "And I mean not to anyone." Which I like that. I like that Which I like that. There is stuff like that they could do.
I would love to see a reboot of the series, but not really with the same animation, but as if Danny decided to go evil.
That's another story altogether that we're not covering today anyway.
Like, I would...
covering that.
I know, but I would love to see that. That would be, to me...
I'll bring it back. Well, if I'll set up a date, or I'll tell Haley about it, and she can tell you about it. I might come back for that one, because that's another story altogether. But for now, we're talking about this one. And bottom line, I think we're all in agreement here. This was a good first episode. Yeah, it helped set everything up. It helped set up the character dynamic, the tone, what they're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Pretty much, on the whole, aside from some minor flaws in the story here and there, and some some character quirks that do get on our nerves, overall, I think the first episode of Danny Phantom was a good first run. So.
A good 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
The only complaint is that there was no origin, which we've already covered and beaten to the ground. But like,
beat it even harder.
We even saw the 22.
We did. We're gonna go get nachos later.
Nachos.
But
Nacho. Sorry, Nacho Libre.
I think it was a really great episode, especially as like a starting point.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional starting point, but it's a good starting point.
Yeah. Okay. So on the whole, we all think it's a good episode, good beginning. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson.
I'm Haley Dudley.
Timothy D. Hobley.
And I'll see you next week. Take care.
Peace.